As Disney Plus struggles to maintain viewership, struggles to gain subscribers, and struggles to make back the $14 billion that have already been invested into the service so far, a new report out of CNBC says that maybe Disney is considering adding user-generated content to Disney Plus. Let's talk about the most absurd thing I've ever heard from Disney here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and also a YouTube content creator. Vash, you want to make some YouTube content talking about Disney letting people make YouTube content for Disney Plus?
Ooh, this is very interesting. Jonas, Disney Plus content creators. We could be them. Oh,
I don't know that they're going to let me on here. We tell too much truth about what's going on the Disney, or ask too many questions. See, this is the thing here, guys. We try to tell the truth as much as possible. But the other thing that I'm getting the feeling Disney does not like is we ask a lot of questions about why did you do this? Why didn't you do that? Hey, is it so bad if this guy gets on your board since maybe your stock price is back below 100 again? Okay, Disney, are you listening to us? I think that you're a little bit ridiculous, but you know what? Let's talk about what Alex Sherman over at CNBC has to say about you. YouTube dominates streaming, forcing media companies to decide whether it's friend or foe. This is setting the stage for another tweet here. YouTube made up nearly 10% of all viewership on connected and traditional TVs in the U.S. in May, according to Nielsen. Netflix ranks second, claiming 7.6% of viewership. We're not talking about your mobile phone, your laptop, but on the biggest screen in the house, the TV, says Lightshed media analyst Rich Greenfield. Every media executive has to be paying attention. By the way, Rich Greenfield, when he asks questions about the Disney company, Bob Iger is forced to answer them on calls. Media companies such as Netflix, Disney, and Warner Brothers Discovery don't have a uniform strategy to deal with the threat. Oh, there's a big word right there. It's not just competition. It's a threat. Okay, so there is a video. It's about 14 minutes long. It's on YouTube right now, or you can go over to the CNBC website. I'm going to make sure that we have this in the links in the description down below if you want to go watch it. It's a great video. It's a classic from Alex Sherman. This is something that we talk about a lot here on That Park Place, and Alex is, I'm not saying that he's cribbing our notes here, but what he's doing is he's framing this for people who may not understand the media landscape currently. When you think about TV, at some point you thought about ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, etc. Okay, PBS is in there too, but they're a totally different animal. And then they started talking about streaming services, and broadcast and cable still makes up 50% of all TV watching right now. So streaming services still only accounting for, let's say, 40% if YouTube is considered this other thing here. But if you count YouTube as a streaming service, YouTube is the biggest streaming service, bar none. So if people say that Netflix is huge, people say that Netflix is a kingmaker, YouTube is the real kingmaker here. I don't know that people would go to watch Netflix-style content on YouTube. They might go to other, sailing the seas type services to go watch that content, but they generally don't go to YouTube to watch things like that. Also considered a social media platform by most people. Why? Because user-generated content is not respected in the way. The thing that I want to point out from this video, and he makes it in a better way than I can make it in this video right now, is that when people make content on YouTube, they are directly engaging with their audience. It can build loyalty between the content creator and their community. I personally am the beneficiary of some of that loyalty, and I try to pay it back as much as I can, because I do appreciate that we have an audience here on That Park Place. But it's something that Disney is currently lacking in their streaming service, that is very lacking, that being Disney Plus. So we know that the current state of Disney Plus, they struggle to show up in the Nielsen ratings. Right now, Hulu is doing really well, but Hulu is content that was made for traditional television. There's a little bit of original programming on Hulu, and Disney does well with that. They've obviously struggled in the past with creating content themselves in the current age and putting that on Hulu, and things doing well. FX shows are big, long-running procedurals like Grey's Anatomy, which is, of course, a medical drama. Disney and Hulu have nothing to do with Suits, but Suits was an old show. It was a USA show, and that going on Netflix, it became the biggest show in the entire world, only beat out by Bluey, which is made for children's television, traditional linear children's television. So here is the kicker, I think, that blew my mind a little bit. And I don't know that Disney was really wanting this to get out here. Here's a tweet from Alex Sherman. The most undercovered company in the media and entertainment world is YouTube. I spoke with some YouTube execs and creators about why YouTube's dominance keeps expanding and asked Hollywood's main players what they're doing about it. Well, here's a much more interesting tweet right here. Disney is laser focused on YouTube with a clearly defined strategy and has even considered adding user-generated content to Disney Plus. Other companies are less concerned with YouTube content to keep focusing on traditional scripted and sports. Vash?
You know what's going on, Jonas? You know what's happening, Jonas? They're keying in on the number one player again. They're doing what they did with Netflix all those years ago. They're saying, oh, who's the number one player? Okay, let's do what they did. And they're going to be rushing right into it.
Oh, my goodness.
And we're going to have a new set of problems. See, here's the thing. I think from Disney's perspective of looking at this, and they're going, okay, we can't spend $30 billion on content and then get nothing from it, essentially, when these things actually come out. Obviously, Bob Iger has talked about the economics of this business and how it's it's complicated. And I would say it can be. That's for sure. Especially when you spend $200 million on something like the Acolyte or $100 million on Willow and all those things. It gets complicated very quickly. So they're thinking, okay, look, we can position ourselves to be a number one player against YouTube if we get user-generated content, and we can bring down our content spend, and then we have content creators who are very much in tune with their audience. I think that's kind of the mindset here. The problem, though, is that Disney doesn't have any of the infrastructure set up to actually facilitate this. YouTube, over the last, decade or so, has developed a system in which they can actually go through content, go through it very quickly, check it for monetization, or if it's even going to be safe on their platform. All these things in order to support this. And by the way, I mean, the server space alone to actually contain all these videos and so forth, this is something that they have built out a robust platform and infrastructure for. Disney hasn't done this. And like I said, Jonas, they're doing what they did again.
Right. This is the amazing thing. The amazing machine here on YouTube here. I want to say that there is more uploaded at any given second than a person could watch in a lifetime. And maybe I'm overstating it a little bit, but not by much here. There is more handled. There's more video handled on this platform every single day than the human mind could comprehend. So the idea that Disney is going to go hard into a technology play, first of all, that goes into Bob Iger's desire to be a technology company. He doesn't want to be an entertainment company, and except for all of the positives that come with being an entertainment company, he wants to be a technology company. And he wants this company as big as possible, as soon as possible. When you think about it as a theme park company, the stock price, well, should reflect that it's a theme park company. And those $200 marks that they were hitting under Bob Chapek, that is when they were considered a technology company because of Disney Plus. And now the shine has come off the apple and they're back to this now. And I almost hit send on a tweet. Instead, I started talking about Tiana's Bayou Adventure with a picture of the stock price and saying, it's time for Bob to announce another streaming service. That was going to be the other thing. That was the alternate on that tweet. And now I'm regretting doing that because this is what they're looking at here. ESPN is about to launch another streaming service, and perhaps 4 streaming services, depending on how you view the current ESPN ridiculousness that is coming around the bend here. YouTube or DisneyTube or whatever you want to call this thing, I think that's a disaster in the making. But if they want to do something, first of all, they don't need to put the Disney name on it, but they're going to do that because that is all that they can do. The other option is for them to buy a social media based video platform and stick the Disney name on it. Again, this is not a good idea. When I look at the landscape of creators on YouTube that Disney would be favorable to, I know of a lot of people who would love to upload that content directly to a Disney-owned platform. In fact, Disney bought Maker Studios, which was a multi-channel network, in order to get into the YouTube space. It is very clear that no one at the company fully understood what they were getting into. In fact, those revenues might have been a little overstated. More on that some other time. Let us know if you want to know about Maker Studios and Defy Media and all that from a business perspective at another time. Sorry, I'm going to focus back on this. YouTube user-generated content is trustworthy because people know what they're getting into with these people, or they don't trust them and they don't watch them. Disney wants to be trusted for putting out these huge superlatives about how they have the number one this and the best that and the first African-American this and the who knows what. User-generated content Disney could not control, and they would want to focus on very specific things on their platform. We could not exist on a Disney user-generated content platform because we go against Disney far too often. But shills would have an easy time on a platform like that, and that would only encourage them to be more shilly. Pixie dusting would be encouraged on this potential platform. I can only assume. So I don't know what they're looking for here. Oh My Disney, that they put a commercial for right in the middle of Wreck-It Ralph 2. That was another Disney attempt at surviving well in a user-generated style content platform. This whole thing, I don't think that Disney understands what they're doing. They don't even understand how to run a streaming service on their own. How are they going to run something like YouTube? And how are they going to treat creators that give them any level of pushback? I'm sorry, I'm ranting now at this point. I think this is a horrible idea for Disney to do a YouTube competitor here, unless it doesn't have their name on it and it doesn't have anything to do with Disney. They can own it, but they don't need to have anything to do with it. Vash, save me from myself here. What do you have to think about this?
Ton of things come to mind here. They don't have any infrastructure right now to support this. Like you said, the server space alone, the data farms that you have to have. This seems like a bad move. We also heard, didn't we hear that that Bob Iger may have invested in Canva or something back in the day, which obviously is a platform to help content creators in some way. We have seen Bob Iger maybe consider buying Twitter at one point, right? And then backing away from it because he's like, let's not get into the the social commentary surrounding that platform. But now if you are positioning Disney Plus in the direction towards content creation or user content creation, well, now aren't you kind of diving into that realm as well? How are you going to moderate this? Again, remember, YouTube went through all kinds of trouble recently when it came to content creation and purging content and censoring content, and also the YouTube kid stuff and all that, the kid-friendly content. It's been definitely an exercise, and one that only YouTube, as funded by Google, can actually make. And here's the thing, Google's having its own issues right now, obviously with Project Gemini, AI integration, Reddit, everything. I think the company thinks, okay, well, look, listen, maybe Google is having a hard time with some of these other things. Maybe we can position ourselves to kind of leapfrog YouTube at some point. But I mean, you're talking about a completely different animal that I don't think the Walt Disney Company is prepared to take on. And we've seen their technology integration in the past. I have my doubts that they can take it on very well.
Yep. And there's one more thing I want to throw in here. Bob Iger, in his book, Ride of a Lifetime, which was about his 15 years at the company, he was set to retire yet again at the publishing of that book. He talked about why they didn't want to buy Twitter at the time. Now, some people have speculated that's because they got some view of how many bots were on the platform. But he also talked about the things that could be put onto Twitter. And the things that they wouldn't want the Disney name attached to. And maybe that's part of the problem here with Disney, is Disney needs to buy things that they can put the Disney label on, as opposed to being a holding company, which is essentially what they're doing now with Hulu. They are holding Hulu and they want it to be associated very closely with the Disney brand. With Twitter, we all know the kind of things that go into a YouTube comment section, in a Twitter comment section, and then to have, let's just this picture in your mind of Mickey Mouse saying, this comment's okay, this comment's not okay. I don't think they're ready for the look of that. And Bob Iger has even in the past said, this is not the kind of thing that we are going to be doing. He's also the kind of guy who said that we ought to release Song of the South, even for historical purposes. So maybe there's a different guy in that position than there was at one time. I want to throw this to our commenters here. If this video was uploaded to DisneyTube, would you also subscribe over there, as you might consider subscribing here to That Park Place, for all the news that should be fun. Like this video. If you like this video, please. I'm very interested in hearing all the comments on this one. And of course, as I jokingly said a moment ago, please consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.